A different day, a different room. And I should do that cough before I start. As I might have mentioned elsewhere, my sister-in-law has died now, which I think was a relief. It certainly was for me because it was no pleasure watching her suffering. I believe I have made my peace with her, on my side anyway. I spent the last 3 weeks doing everything I could to help her, make her life easier, and I have said goodbye to her. For the moment, unless we should meet in some other plane or whatever. And it was my intention to light a candle for her, but I failed to buy one yesterday when I was out. So that's something to do when I get home, because this is not home. Would I really live like this? I mean, it's perfectly fine, but it's just not me. So this is not my home. But where was I? Sister-in-law. Yes, I said goodbye to her. So for the moment, that's finished. What happens now? In theory, we would return home and go back to work, but my wife has decided to make herself responsible for the funeral arrangements, or certainly the cremation arrangements, and to be involved in the memorial arrangements for some time in the future. So she has gone back to her brother-in-law's house, where she is, I don't know, trying to take her sister's place. I don't know where this is going to go, because she's expressed a wish to move up here. This is the northeast in the past, and it keeps coming up. And she's wanted us to look at houses up here, businesses. Now she has an excuse to stay in her sister's house, or can make an excuse. And I'm sure they'd be very happy to have her there to look after the cooking and coordinate things around the house. But how long will she be happy to do it? Does it mean I will be spending even more time living on my own? And I do sometimes question why we are in this relationship, because a lot of the time I feel my role is merely to support. I've been up here all bar 2 days for 3 weeks now. 3 weeks? Yes, it's the third week, I think. Might even be more. And as a friend pointed out to me, if the roles were to be reversed, and I would say, look, I've got to look after my dying sister for 3 weeks, will you be around for me? As my friend pointed out, my wife would probably say, oh, I'm just going off on a singing workshop for a couple of weeks. You'll be all right, won't you? Because that's what it's like. I've learnt that many years ago. When I say we've been married for 27 years, I think. I know what it's like. I know that I don't rely or even on or even expect support, but I do, by and large, unbegrudgingly give support, because it's what I do rightly or wrongly. I am getting taken away from what I was talking about. And this is possibly a substance effect. Yes, I think I'm losing my thread. I did have quite a lot I was going to say in the context of my sister-in-law's death. I didn't want to get into talking about her family and their behaviour, and the fact that I was actually quite annoyed that after the after my sister-in-law died, right, going backtracking a bit, at 8:30 in the morning, I got a call staying here saying, "Look, she's dying. Will you come in?" And the hospice had called my brother-in-law before me and given him the same message. Now he lives about an hour away. I'm staying about half an hour away from the hospice. Anyway, I got dressed, dashed out, got there in 40 minutes altogether. And my brother-in-law, her husband, didn't turn up for 4 hours after he got the call. After an hour, there was a call from his son saying we're just setting off. There was another one an hour later. But it was still 2 hours before he turned up. He, interestingly, seems to have told his cleaner that the message said, "Oh, she's having breathing difficulty," or something like that. But the hospice say that they passed the message on and he said thank you and put the phone down. So we don't know what's right there. But anyway, the point is, what I was trying to say was that he didn't turn up until 4 hours after he'd got the call, which was more than 3.5 hours after she died, which left my wife and myself doing all the stuff that needed to be done, mostly her, I would say. But, sorry. So it just felt a bit wrong that my wife was having to do all this and he was really doing nothing. And then he turned up and didn't do very much. A couple of people came over. He brought the family. Hospice laid on a bit of food. And then they buggered off, leaving my wife and myself, or principally her, to clear up all Janet's possessions, pack them up and take them away from the room in the hospice. Even down to getting a nurse to remove the rings from her finger. So we were hanging around in the room for, moving around the corpse, which was just lying there, shriveled and yellow, clearing everything up, sorting out all her clothes, packing everything away. Now, I don't yet know whether my wife offered to do this or whether the husband just didn't think about it. But having done this, we then drove an hour to his house and deposited the stuff there, and not a dicky bird didn't say, "Oh, thanks for doing that. Thanks for thinking about the rings." Despite what we discussed, my wife decided to stay at the house. I stayed for a little while, but I didn't want to sit and watch some shite on the television called Bridgerton. It's absolutely appalling. I didn't want to stay and watch that, so I told my wife I wasn't staying, and I got up and left and drove back here. I've always found it difficult to talk to the husband. It's got beyond difficult now. I don't know why. Well, he's an arse. He probably thinks I'm an arse. But again, I'm diverted from what I wanted to talk about. I'm not sure I can remember what it was now. It's definitely a symptom. I don't want to have too many long pauses in this video, so if it's getting like that, I will stop it. Other things that annoyed me. I got a call from my wife. She wanted me to go over. I said, yes, I'll come over. Can we have a chat? Because there are various things I need to talk about. She said, yes, they're going out for a walk, but I'll stay behind. When I told her what time I was arriving. Well, I got there and there's no one there. I managed to get a message to my wife who said, no, confirmed, no, there was no one in the house. Didn't say what time they'd left. So I thought I'd wait. I might even have told her. Because she didn't say anything suggesting it was going to be a long time before they came home. Well, I sat in the garden for 2 hours and then gave up and came back here. And in fact, it was a further hour before they got home because they stopped for a drink. Had I known, I wouldn't have waited. I wouldn't have wasted an evening. Because it takes me 40 minutes to drive there and 40 minutes back. So I wouldn't have wasted. I would have come home, cooked some food, and had a journey and gone to bed. That was yesterday. Today again I was called and I went over. I don't just go over randomly because I need to know that I can see my wife when I'm over there and she's not going to be busy doing something else, and I get stuck trying to avoid ignoring the family. Got the call, turned up, and she didn't really greet me. She just carried on what she was doing, watching children crochet, leaving me just standing rather awkwardly. Then went and spent 40 minutes picking out some clothes to be cremated. Why didn't she do that before I turned up? Then said we were going to take the dog for a walk and then promptly disappeared, leaving me again rather awkwardly, just hanging around. We did get out for a walk, and after she'd done a bit of venting about the situation, we had a bit of a talk. I said that I wanted to go home, not this home, but home. Well, I wanted to go home here tonight, and I was going home tomorrow for a couple of days because I want to have a shave, I want to wash my clothes, I need to refresh the starters. There's a mouldy cauliflower in the fridge I need to throw out. I wanted to catch up with a friend. I need to pick up my new glasses. There's quite a lot of things I need to do that I haven't done for 3 weeks. So I said that I'd go home and then I would come back for the cremation, which is going to be the end of this week sometime, in theory. I got the usual, no, don't go, I need you here. But it's quite one-sided. I don't mind helping her, but when I'm just ignored, this is turning into a moan, and I didn't want it to do that. I don't mind helping, but I just feel I'm ignored. I'm going to have to listen to this before I post it. Am I just repeating myself? I might be. Didn't like the idea of me going home tonight or going proper home tomorrow. I intend to go home for a day, maybe come back the next day. I have this place booked until Wednesday night. If the cremation is Thursday, that'll be fine. I can go to the cremation and drive home afterwards. If it's Friday, I'll try and extend this for a night. But what I don't want to do is spend my time around that house any more than I need to. I'm afraid this video has lost its way entirely. I don't know where it's gone, and I blame the substance, which has had a bit of an effect after all. I thought it wasn't going to. Well, I will stop this here and probably go to bed.